for now, I'd like to take a bit of time to explain the inner workings of the actual slice. So right in front of me, I have decomposed the slice onto a flat plane, which should hopefully make it a little bit easier to understand. So first off, we should explain the color coding. So in this case, red here represents the unlocking of the overhead filter. Orange represents the relocking of the overhead filter. Pink represents the clearing of the overhead filter, and magenta represents the signal strength stabilization. And the lectern here is simply a stand-in for the overhead filter's hopper. So in case you don't know what I mean by the overhead filter's hopper, it's just this hopper right here, right underneath the chest. So let's just follow the signal strength. So when inactive, so we're currently on signal strength 1, so inactive, this comparator will just be emitting a redstone dust of signal strength 1. And this comparator isn't affected by anything else, so that's perfect. This comparator is just going to be outputting a straight signal strength. Now, this signal strength meets this comparator right here. Now, this comparator is in subtract mode, so it's going to be subtracting from the back and the side. It's going to be subtracting the side from the back, sorry. So let's perform that calculation. So the back, the fill level, if we look on the right-hand side, is fill level 6. This here is signal strength 1. 6 minus 1 should be 5. So we are getting signal strength 5 here on this dust. So let's follow the dust. So we move one forward with the dust. Here we have a little bit of a junction, so we'll go right, then we'll go left. This dust here is connected to this comparator here. So it's also in subtract mode, so we do the same calculation. We do the back minus the front. So 4 minus 4 is 0, so this comparator should be off as expected. Now we keep following the dust. We go over to the side, 3, 2, 1. So this dust here is at signal strength 1. And I am simply using a repeater here to visually represent the locking and unlocking of a hopper. Now, within the actual slice, the way we activate the dropper tower that you see right here is by getting a short pulse, just reading with an observer the change in signal strength on this dust. So this would pulse towards the dropper tower. Now we'll move back to our junction, go to the left. So we reach another comparator. Now this comparator is receiving power from the back, and it's in subtract mode, and it's getting a subtraction from the side. So let's have a look at this comparator now. This comparator is emitting a signal strength of 2. So what is 4 minus 2? 4 minus 2 is 2, so we should have 2, then 1. And this repeater here will be unlocking the hopper that clears the overhead filter hopper. So if you want a quick little reminder, this here is the overhead filter hopper, and then this here is the hopper that clears the overhead filter hopper. Okay, so I'm going to put us into tick freeze. Okay, and I'm going to increase the signal strength by 1. So this increasing the signal strength by 1 or setting the signal strength to 2 in the overhead filter means that we have just received an item, right? We've just received an item into the slice. So let's see what that will do. So I'm going to do tick rate 2. I'm going to do tick unfreeze. So regardless of whether or not the item is a match or an unmatch or a non-match, the same timing logic will happen, which makes this kind of sorting pretty interesting, at least to me. So let's see what happens. So I've untick freezed. We'll get a brief little short pulse there, then we'll get a brief pulse over there, and by this time, I haven't exactly set this up, but by this time the signal strength would have decreased back to 1. which would relock the hopper over on the left-hand side. So I think we're still at tick rate 2, so let's just speed that up. Okay. Now, that may have been a little bit fast to see, but basically what happens is that this comparator here reduces by signal strength 1, which means this redstone dust goes to 0, which disables this repeater and triggers this observer. Then 2 game ticks later, or 1 redstone tick later, this comparator will see that this redstone dust has gone down to signal strength 3, and 4 minus 3 is 1, so it'll then power this dust right here, which will repower this repeater, which is why we got a little blink on this repeater right here. And if we look at here on the left-hand side, this dust here will go down to signal strength 3, then 3 minus 2 is 1, so this redstone dust here will be 0, which means this repeater will be off. And because what we rely upon to relock the hopper is the item actually leaving, the first hopper, we don't need to get a brief little pulse like that, like we do for the overhead filter. Now, if I play it for you again, very quickly, you will see that the right repeater will fire first, then the left repeater. And that's really, really important to the timing of the actual slice. Now I'm going to show you why the signal strength stabilization is important. So I am going to remove this block right here, which will disable the signal strength stabilization. I'm going to remove this comparator right here, and I am going to increase this to signal strength 5, which represents an unstackable item. If I put an unstackable item here, as you can see, this observer is going to flash a whole bunch, and that's not an ideal situation, because if the observer is flashing a whole bunch, you're going to have to hear the droppers clicking, which is why when I add in the signal strength stabilization here, the observer is going to stop firing because this redstone dust will always be at power 1, which means that at basically any signal strength, it'll work as expected.